Good Monday morning. I'm Dave Olson of the Olson Properties Team, and this is the Olson Advantage. Hopefully all of you had a wonderful holidays, a Merry Christmas, or however you celebrate, and a wonderful New Year. We had a lot of fun this last year. It was a good year for us here at Olson Properties Team, and hopefully you felt the same, and hopefully you learned a lot along the way. We strive very hard to make these better every week, and hopefully you find value in them. Please share with us what we can do more and better for you. We'd appreciate it. Let's take a quick look at the year over year to December, and see where we finished up. So first metric we're going to look at is average sales price per square foot. We finished December at $287.79, which is up 7% year on year, or about 5% off the all-time high, which, as we all remember, was kind of that June time frame of 2021. So we're about 5% off the absolute peak. All right, next metric, median sales price. We were at $415. We finished up $18,000 this past year at $433,074. So a healthy increase on the average median price of a home. And as we like to talk about, median price means half of the homes are listed over that number, half are under. So we're kind of taking out the high and the low and looking at the mean. The average house price would be significantly higher than that if we roll them all in. Obviously, $2 and $3 million homes skew that number. There aren't as many of those proportionally that are going to affect the lower expensive homes. So we use the median as a much better metric and benchmark. Next number we look at it is the number of sales over asking price. We're up about 12% on last year. We finished at about 15% overall, which is plus 3% net year on year. Next number is seller concessions to buyers. We finished at we dropped a little this last month, down 2%, but almost half of the transactions this past December had some sort of seller concessions. And as we talked about, seller concessions don't necessarily always show up on the bottom line or to your neighbors when you sell your house or when you buy a house. Those numbers are often off. They often come in the form of concessions. In terms of buying down rates, has been the big thing and the big driver this last year with the higher rate. So, how much on average? December ticked up just a little bit, and we finished right at $10,000 in terms of total concessions to the buyer for this year on year. So we are up from where we were last year. Sales price to list price ratio up also, up 2.5% below asking price, or at 97.5% total, which anything between 96 and 97% typically is pretty average as to where we finish relative to where a home is listed to where it actually will sell for. And that's everything, kind of thrown into a big basket. So that's a pretty high average. That range tends to be very consistent. The outlier years to that would have probably been COVID when everybody was paying over, but that's a pretty consistent metric. You'll notice month to month when we go through these, it doesn't change that much. Median days on market up significantly from what you probably saw if you watched a lot of these over the course of the year. Summer months are selling seasons. Spring were much tighter, but as we get into that third and fourth quarter, the days on market tend to be much longer, and December is no exception to that. We finished at about 46 days on market, down from a year ago in December. So one of the other things we want to take a look at, a little summary, going into January. And we're going to get more detail on this with the next recap because all those numbers will be out. We don't quite have them all right now, so we're kind of going at a high level this time. Next time you log in, you'll see it. It'll be a lot more detail. But forecasting into January, mortgage rates have come down significantly since October. We had the December 13th meeting. They forecasted maybe as many as 3 cuts going into next year. We'll see. But nothing happened, and we've seen them pull back almost a full point in the last 30, 40 days. Mortgage applications are up. Could result in more accepted contracts come January. As we shared with you on a couple of occasions, from a leading lagging indicator, leading indicators would tell us we're going to have a very good first quarter. The phone's been ringing. We've had a lot of appointments. We'll probably have 6 or 7 listings live in the month of January, which is up probably 30-40% from what is typical in a January. That's a lot for a January. That's more like a February month, maybe even a March month. But 7 listings in 1 month, especially in January, that's up significantly. The Cromford Index has stabilized. We're going to go into that in more detail next time. And it is moving back towards a seller's market in certain areas, and we have that detail. We'll have that for you next time. Both listings and contracts should increase with our typical seasonality. Every year's the same here in Arizona for the most part. You hit January 1st, you got 2-3 weeks of quiet, and then things pick up. They stay very busy until we hit the weather being too hot. We gradually scale back down towards fall. We got a little window between 2-3 weeks after kids get into school and Thanksgiving that we pick up, and then it kind of winds down significantly right through the holidays. And that repeats itself pretty much every year. And so we expect in the next several weeks things to pick up significantly, nicer weather, lots of visitors, lots of snowbirds, and we should be much busier. Lastly here, it is good to be a buyer right now. You got a window. We'll show you in more detail next week on the Cromford report. Again, we're always 6 to 8 weeks ahead of what most people know and understand relative to the market, because it is very much a leading indicator. If you have some issues as a buyer, you don't have the best of credit, you may not have the most down payment, perhaps you might be a first-time home buyer, you want to be out in front of this thing early, because we're probably going to have a very busy spring. As we get closer to summer, we could very easily, if we have a rate pullback, we could very much be back into competing offers, giving up more concessions, conceding on work and repairs and all that kind of stuff. So if you are a buyer, interested in being a buyer, but you're not necessarily the healthiest buyer, and that's okay, you're probably better off being out in front of it, because prices will probably tick up and concessions will probably diminish somewhat, and you're gonna have to give up less or you're gonna have to give up more in order to buy a house. So hopefully you found all this information useful. And again, if you ever have any questions, don't hesitate to text the word answers to 59559. That's the word answers to 59559. And you can always text or call me directly at 623-570-4464. Thanks so much. Make it a great day.